There are roads in this world that lead to places they shouldn't, places that have been erased from history. Tonight, we take you down one of them. Deep in the mountains of Fukuoka, Japan, there is a tunnel that should never be entered. It is the first step towards something horrifying, a place lost in time, a place called Inunaki Village. For those who dare to venture here, strange things begin to happen long before they reach the tunnel. Electronics stop working, a strange pressure fills the air, and then, just as they approach the entrance, they feel it, as if something is watching them. And once you step inside, there is no turning back. No one truly knows when Inunaki Village was founded, but its fate is far more terrifying than its origins. Some say disease wiped it out. Others claim the villagers fell into madness, consumed by a darkness no one could explain. But the most disturbing story, the people who lived there weren't human anymore. A warning still stands at its entrance. The laws of Japan do not apply beyond this point, and if you step past it, you are truly alone. One of the most chilling tales linked to Inunaki Village is the case of a young couple who went searching for it, and only one returned. It was late at night when they set off, following old rumors and whispered directions. Everything seemed normal at first, until they reached the tunnel. Once inside, the silence was deafening. Their flashlights flickered, then out of nowhere, they heard it. A scream. High-pitched and unnatural, coming from deep within the tunnel. They should have turned back, but curiosity is dangerous. The village was there, standing in the shadows of the mountains, rotting wooden houses, overgrown paths, and an unbearable stillness. And then, they saw a movement, eyes sunken, hollow, watching them from the darkness. The villagers weren't gone. They were waiting. One moment, she was beside him. The next, she was gone. But before he could even move, he heard it again, the whisper. "Stay with us." He ran as fast as he could, back through the tunnel, back to the car. He never looked back. Days later, he was found wandering near the tunnel, whispering the same thing over and over. They took her. But no trace of her was ever found. But the village isn't the only cursed place. The tunnel itself is just as infamous. Many believe it is a portal, a cursed gateway between the world of the living and something much, much darker. The most well-known tragedy occurred in 1988 when a young man was found inside the tunnel, tortured and burned beyond recognition. The details of his murder were so disturbing that even seasoned investigators were shaken. To this day, some say his screams still echo in the tunnel at night. After that night, the tunnel was sealed, but that didn't stop the legends from growing. But the most bizarre phenomenon of Inunaki Tunnel isn't just ghosts, it's time itself. Some visitors report that time doesn't move normally inside the tunnel. Phones die within seconds, watches freeze or jump forward by hours, and sometimes people enter the tunnel at one time but exit at a completely different time than expected. One man entered at midnight and walked straight through. When he reached the other side, it was sunrise. To him, only 5 minutes had passed, but 6 hours had gone by. Some places should never be disturbed. Some tunnels should never be entered. If you find yourself on a lonely mountain road and the mist begins to thicken, turn back. Because once you enter, you may never leave. But the most unsettling part, the government denies that Inunaki Village ever existed. Some claim the village was erased from records to hide something unnatural. Others say it still exists, but in a place that humans should never find. So now we ask you, would you dare to enter the cursed village of Inunaki? Or do you believe some places should remain lost forever? A tale of love, betrayal, and a vengeful curse so powerful it still haunts Japan centuries later. This is the story of Oiwa, a woman wronged in life but feared in death, a curse so deadly even speaking her name without respect might summon her wrath. In the Edo period of Japan, there lived a woman named Oiwa. She was known for her beauty, her kindness, and her unwavering loyalty to her husband, Iyemon Tamiya. But Imon was no noble warrior. He was an ambitious man, consumed by greed and selfish desires. Though Oiwa loved him deeply, he saw her as nothing more than an obstacle, standing in the way of power and wealth. Imon had set his sights on another woman, the daughter of a rich nobleman. Marrying her would grant him status and fortune, but there was only one problem: Oiwa. And so, he devised a plan so cruel, so inhumane, that it would lead to one of the most terrifying hauntings in Japan's history. With the help of his new lover's family, Imon obtained a deadly poison, but this was no ordinary poison. It wouldn't kill instantly. No, it would work slowly, eating away at Oiwa from the inside, disfiguring her beyond recognition. At first she felt weak, tired. Then her skin began to change. Blisters formed, her beautiful face swelling and rotting. Her once lustrous hair fell from her scalp in clumps, and worst of all, she didn't know why. When Oiwa finally saw what had become of her, she let out a scream that echoed through the house, a scream of pain, a scream of betrayal, and a scream of pure, undying hatred. In her agony, Oiwa knew she had been poisoned. She knew the man she had loved had betrayed her, and so, with her final breath, she cursed him. She swore her spirit would never rest. She would have vengeance, and no matter where Eamon ran, no matter how much time passed, she would haunt him forever. Not long after Oiwa's death, Ieamon married the nobleman's daughter. He thought he was free, that he had escaped his past, but he was wrong. On their wedding night, Ieamon looked at his new bride, but as he blinked, her face began to change. Her skin melted away, her eye drooped, her hair fell out. Oiwa had returned. In a panic, Ieamon grabbed his sword and slashed at the figure in front of him, only to realize he had killed his new wife instead. But Oiwa was not finished with him yet. Everywhere he turned, he saw her. Her face stared at him from lanterns. Her voice whispered in the wind. The more he ran, the stronger the curse became. But Oiwa's curse did not die with Ieamon. To this day, her story is retold in Japan's most famous ghost play, Yotsuya Kaidan. But beware, those who perform her story without respect often suffer misfortunes. Actors fall mysteriously ill. Accidents happen. Some even claim to see Oiwa's face in the shadows of the theater. Even now, her grave lies in Tokyo. Visitors leave offerings to appease her restless spirit. But if you ever visit, be careful, because those who mock Oiwa's suffering may find her staring back at them from the darkness. If you enjoyed those terrifying legends and stories, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more haunted stories. Until next week, sweet dreams.